Hey everybody, welcome to the Bulls Tabletop Hour. I'm Adam Harry.
I'm Abe.
And we've got a whole lot to talk about today.
We do, yeah. Today we're going to spend the next hour, in fact.
Yes, like a whole hour.
Yeah, stuff that's on our tabletop.
And some other stuff coming.
Stuff that will be on our tabletop.
That's true.
Yeah.
We have Urban Conquest,
right.
you can see here.
Urban's Conquest. This is about the First Crusade for Pope Urban II.
Is it? Yeah, it's close.
Right?
It's closer than you think.
You could have a campaign where a pope.
A space pope.
A space pope.
Yeah, no, Urban Conquest is a new city fighting campaign for the 40K 41st Millennium. It's a brand new product from Games Workshop.
Yep.
We got a preview copy. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. So this box, more than just a book, though, there is a book.
There is a book. There's also a handy-dandy map, which you can kind of see here. We've preloaded some cards just to kind of show off what you can do with it. This is not an actual battlefield map. I mean, it could be, but
I don't know.
But
and this terrain stuff.
It's got some pretty cool. It's got 4 terrain sprues. I've got 2 here. There's 2 more back here. We'll go through over all this stuff too. If you have any questions about Urban Conquest, go ahead and drop those in the chat as well, and we'll try to answer those when we get around to them. So, and then we've also got some D&D news.
We got some other stuff
down the road.
Yeah,
down the road.
So Urban Conquest. This is basically the update of the old Cities of Death. In fact, the rule section is called Cities of Death. Right?
Yeah, there's a whole... It's actually the same rule section from the Chapter Approved, which is kind of funny. But it's the Cities of Death rules, and then on top of that, or shoved in there with it, is also this entire campaign structure. Because how many times have you played 40K and had a buddy that was like, dude, we should do a map campaign.
I've never played 40K.
Yeah, you have. We should do a map campaign, Abe. We should totally set up a map. We can get like 4 people together and run a map campaign. Yeah. Like, that's always like the pipe dream of like 40K gamers.
We'll fight over territories, right?
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, Games Workshop has put all of that into the box for you with Urban Conquest. So you've got this entire map that you can randomize, or however you want to set up your entire faction stuff here. You can keep track of all the player stuff right down on this column. You can add different strategic objectives up top here, and then also strategic assets
and stuff,
and keep track. Yeah, all that fun stuff on the side. So, and this is like a plastic vinyl-y thing, almost like a shower curtain.
So the cards come in and out.
Yeah, exactly. You can actually pull them out and put them back in, whatever. Yeah. Get the vinyl sticker things. It also comes with these pretty cool reusable stickers. There's 4 sets, 4 different colors that you can use. And these actually, let me grab one of them real fast. These actually peel off, and like a regular sticker, and they're clear. Can't see it from there, but I will put this on the map.
For you really quick.
Yeah, thanks, Mars. Mars is working the cameras. You can kind of see how I've put the sticker on this map section right here, or this player section. That'd be like the red player,
right? And
then you can just, when you're done or you want to reset, you can peel it off, or if you want to keep track, you can put your red player now owns that section, or
red player,
whatever.
Red versus blue players.
Yep. So those move around pretty cool.
It's technically called a map wallet. By the way.
Map wallet. Yeah, that's a good to know. Didn't realize it does Cityscape map wallet.
Yeah.
But this has got 25 squares. Where you can pretty much randomly generate. You could just shuffle all 57 cards together, deal them out, or you could design your own map.
Yeah. So it's a pretty cool. That's probably the main draw of this set itself. Would be to get the campaign stuff to do a map campaign.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in some ways a variation on the old the tiles that they used to.
Yeah, I remember those little tile sets. Those were pretty cool.
Which were another cool way of doing a map campaign. This is definitely a less intensive.
Yeah, the tiles were a great idea. They were kind of a pain if you wanted to actually paint them up and make them look nice.
Right.
This is like the same concept, only you can do this in like 10 minutes. You can set up an entire campaign in 10 minutes.
And I think one of the things that appeals to me for this, and probably appeal to people too, is that it's easy to carry. Right,
yeah.
Like the problem with some of the big maps that you build, that you often get,
you can't
move them. You're like, I got to stick all these pins in it.
Yeah, or I have to put them in a special spot in the store. Now it's taking up store space.
But something like this, even full of cards, you can pretty easily fold it up.
You can fold it up. You can carry it with you. Again, it's got this nice vinyl material, kind of like a shower curtain.
Yeah,
and you can hang. It's got the little holes in there too, so you can hang it up
in your shower.
If you really want. That'd be weird. but you could.
I mean, you know, I like the little print of the city with the basilica on the back. Like,
yeah,
I could see a nice vinyl shower curtain with.
Hey GW, blow this up by like 10 and sell shower curtains
and give me a shower curtain. I mean, honestly, is there anything else that like the
a grimdark shower?
You know, like the erudite geek needs more than a 40K shower curtain.
40K shower curtain. Make it happen.
Nice, but that's like a classy one, right? Like,
that'd be a real classy one.
Because like you get shower curtains that are like a line map of like Paris or something, right? Like they sell those.
Why can't we get one of the GW Citadel?
Vigilance.
Yeah, just saying.
Let's get the.
You've already got the materials figured out. Make it happen.
This production is just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But no, I like that it's really easy to move around, to take with me, carry.
Yeah.
That's always one of the great things, especially. Some stores are really cool, and like if you had the old map boards, those are hard to move. So some stores
were pretty hard to move.
Were pretty cool and would let you keep your stuff in the store, but not every store has a space for that.
Yeah, it's just a matter of it takes up space. And
So being able to be like, I can easily pack this away.
Exactly.
Take it with me, and it's something we've seen. Some other companies have done similar things recently.
Similar,
so but nothing quite to this degree. And this is a very durable material that I think you could reuse a lot, which is the idea, obviously. With it's not just a map that's set that you fight over.
You can reuse it over and over and over again. And it actually has more player cards, which we have. I think there's there's probably like a dozen player cards.
Yeah.
That you can use. We'll drop one. That you can use to have other players. You can write their names in there. You can probably dry erase marker on these. Probably they have a bit of a finish to them.
Yeah.
But you could write them on the vinyl, and that protects the cards anyway.
Too. And then you've got a bunch of different cards, bajillion hab blocks, which is kind of like your basic one. But
there's also 6 unique ones as well.
Right.
And those 6 unique cards actually have special missions that you can use when you're fighting over those blocks, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and you've got like Basilica Districts, Adeptus Ministorum Tertius Quarters, Sanctum Basilica, Sanctum Imperialis, Salutis, all kinds of cool stuff. I know you've got like spaceports in here, administrative districts. So,
and those actually have in-game effects that you can use. I believe you can, if you have a special location, you can opt to use the stratagem associated with that if you want to.
Right, and then you've got your strategic resource cards that you can spend to do other things. So there's
also the strategic goal cards. There's actually 3 different strategic goals. I believe we have the regroup and concentrate. Currently in the thing, we also have hold the power base and seize the city. The other 2 options. These are going to be the big kind of campaign goals for this particular city. And then there's another random event deck that you can swap out every turn or every week, however you want to do it. By the way, we keep saying these are for players, but you could actually run these as factions.
Sure.
So you could have multiple players playing in the same faction. Yeah. So
you got all kinds of cool things. They're going on. One of them is Earthquake, which if you read the Vigilist, you know that book. You know that all the cities there are suffering from earthquakes because the mechanic
somebody's tunneling.
Dug too deeply, too greedily.
Too deeply and too greedily.
Yes.
Where have we heard that before?
I don't know. I don't know anyway.
Yeah, the book itself, it's 97 pages. There's some new artwork in here, some extra rules and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of this is reprinted from like the chapter approved, the whole Cities of Death.
So the Cities of Death part is the same in chapter approved. So if you just wanted to play a Cities of Death game,
if you just want to play the game,
you could play just a single battle with chapter approved, or if that's all you want to play and you don't have chapter approved for some reason, you don't need to buy them both.
It's got the same stratagems.
Yep, which are about I don't know, a ton. It's like 30 almost or something.
I think it's close to 30. Yeah, it's over 20 for sure.
It's a large number of kind of generic stratagems.
Yeah. We've seen those again. Those are the same from chapter approved. There's also the key building stratagems, which I believe are new.
Yeah. Because
these are the ones that are specific to the 6 buildings referenced in this box.
In there. And then you also have about 18 missions in here, I think. You have a bunch of new missions.
Tactical objectives, all that fun stuff.
Some of the missions are the same as in chapter approved. I think the match play missions are the same.
The new section, though, is the Streets of Death campaign, which actually walks you through how to set up a campaign. Again, if you've ever been involved or wanted to get involved with a campaign, but just could never. Once you sat down to actually do the logistics, you got a little overwhelmed.
Definitely,
which happens to everybody. This box has you covered.
Yeah.
So you can run an entire campaign right out of this box. You just gotta find some willing volunteers.
And it's interesting now because if you take this with Vigilus in stride. This is kind of your more freeform, less narrative.
Yeah.
Maybe not competitive, but definitely like structured.
It even talks
map
about
campaign.
It talks about how to do other campaigns, but this is specifically has rules for this particular map campaign.
Whereas Vigilus has a very narrative campaign.
Yeah.
So now you have multiple different ways of running campaigns with official rules, with missions and everything.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cool missions in here.
There's also campaign setups, which are really cool. Just recommended options. You can do the attacker defender thing. You can even do like a multiple fighters. Like each person owns like a city block and is trying to push their way out or fight through or capture more terrain. So I think that's what's really cool about this is just the different ways to do it. It even has scoring in here too. So if you're the type of...
You can win a game.
You can win a campaign if you're the type of player that doesn't just want an endless game.
I mean, I feel like campaigns are just always... The win condition is Iron Man. It's the last man standing, right? It's like the hard... It's like the hard hands on a hot body thing or whatever, right? Like with the car, you all have to stay touching the car.
Oh, yeah. That's what you meant.
Yeah, that's what the documentary's called, right? It's about... Like, it's one of those camp... it's last player standing. Like, if no one actually wins or gets eliminated, it's just... Well, I'm the last one who showed up for the campaign. Everyone else has dropped
It's week 6, and I'm the last one here. Woo, I got this, guys.
I win.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I will say, if you aren't familiar with the Cities of Death rules and Chapter Approved a lot of rules, so maybe you can read those. I actually think they're pretty cool additions to the game. I honestly almost wish that every game of 40K had some of these rules.
Like, can you give the folks at home some examples of rules that you actually do like?
So there's a few changes to the Cities of Death rules. Or not changes, but the Cities of Death have a few set rules. So one of them is the idea obscured.
Yeah.
So they have, in addition to simply having can I see you or not, and having
line of sight.
Are you in cover or not, there's obscured, which is if the model is not necessarily in cover itself, but is blocked by intervening cover, you get a -1 to hit them.
Okay. So it just makes it a little harder. Not necessarily, doesn't necessarily give them an armor improvement.
Doesn't give them an armor improvement.
It's harder to hit.
Right. Which, if you're in cover as well, you're going to get both because you can't see the whole target. But it makes sense that you're like, well, I'm firing like through this wall at the other person. They're not, and like in normal 40K rules, you don't get any benefit for that. Like, they're like, well, you're not in cover directly, even though I'm shooting through this entire building.
Yeah.
You're standing out in the open, so there's no... Like, the building is irrelevant to me.
Right.
But this does give you a benefit for that. Vehicles and stuff still have to be half obscured.
Sure.
Infantry just have to be at all. So that's kind of cool. To go along with that, they have the lucky hit rule, so that...
6 is always
6 is always hit, which, again, I kind of feel should just be a 40K rule.
Probably.
Orcs got it as part of their rule, but I kind of feel that a natural 6 should always hit and that makes sense given all the minuses here.
Right.
Because now
you need something to counter that, because there's already a lot of minuses to hit, and suddenly... You might have a 3+ to hit normally, and you can get up to a 7. And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I think like the proper Eldar mix could get like a -40 hit with obscured now. So that's really cool. If you move all your distance along a street or a road, you get extra movement,
which makes sense
unless you're flying. Flying targets also can't be obscured because they're flying.
They're flying, yeah. I do. I like some of the clarifications about the lucky hits you mentioned. The height advantage thing. That's a big deal. There's a lot of new stratagems that we saw in Chapter Approved and also in this book that reference height advantage. You should definitely, if you're going to use these rules, definitely read up what that entails.
But height advantage is a cool rule, even if you were to not use any of the stratagems, which I don't necessally think the game needs all the stratagems in here.
Sure.
That's fun if you want to get really into a Cities of Death campaign.
Yeah, for sure.
But just for like a base game, height advantage is basically if you're higher than the opponent.
Right.
Than the target, you get +1 to the AP. They get -1 to your AP technically.
So if you have an AP -1, it's now AP -2 because it's shooting down. You're getting
which again is a cool makes positioning matter a lot more kind of thing. They have dangerous terrain, so if you actually move through like super dangerous terrain, this is basically the old one. The old dangerous terrain rule, you roll a dice on a 1, you take a mortal wound. So that's
jagged
really
piece
cool.
of rebarb stabbed you in the face.
Yeah, and then they also have a difference between soft and hard cover.
Right.
Which is if you're in hard cover, you get +2 to your armor save instead of +1.
Yep.
and you can't like improve. Like if you have like camo cloaks, you just always count as a hardcover basically.
Sure,
like,
sure.
It
doesn't stack.
It doesn't stack. You don't get a +3, but that's a cool.
Those are all like old school rules that they brought back. I feel like that we old timers recognize,
and these add a nice little bit of granularity and extra strategy to the game because now. You're like, well, do I want to be in the trees or in the ruins? And do I want to just be like sitting in the trees on the ground, or do I want to be up high in the ruins? And suddenly, being up high, like right now, there's not a ton of advantage to one of those, other than like I'm farther away from a speed that's assaulting me.
And it makes more sense that being up high in ruins should provide better cover and better line of sight to shoot out from, versus being behind a tree on the ground in a city.
You're like, oh, this is perfect. So they've got that. There's a whole bunch of different like. New reserves and narrative and sustained assault.
I think you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot more granularity, I think, in the Cities of Death rule set. And all of that is available in the Urban Conquest thing.
And once you add in the new missions, there's, I think, about a dozen. I can double check here. So there's the...
I know there's missions for open narrative and even match play.
So there's 15 missions in this book. The match play missions... I think, or the narrative play missions are in chapter approved.
Okay.
6 of those missions are reprinted from chapter approved. The other 9, I think, the match play and definitely the open play missions are new to this.
Yeah.
And then there's also there's a few other just kind of like special missions that go along with the campaign as well.
There's the 6 special missions designed for the
Saints Basilica and the Promethean Reactor Complex Sniper Rally. So those aren't missions you would just play normally.
Right.
They kind of really need special maps built for them and work directly within. So there's a lot of missions. If you throw it together, you get a very complex additions to the game, and something that you can do either as the campaign or as one-off Cities of Death battles.
For sure.
Which are a lot of fun. And like I said, I think if you took like the 6 Cities of Death rules and just used those in every 40k game, not necessarily Cities of Death, but didn't also use all the stratagems and everything. Yeah. Be a fun little addition to the game, and that's something people have asked for a time.
For sure.
I would love to see something like this, but for like tanks, right? Vehicles. Like, here's a bunch of optional rules to make vehicles more complex, and then you can choose if you want to use them.
These are the 4 new pieces, the terrain sprues. I wanted to show these off.
Yeah.
Because this is... already, I like this set just from a campaign and running a map campaign and all that. Those cool accessories, but these are actually really neat for hobbyists out there. If you have a table of your own, these terrain bits are fantastic.
They are.
They really match the aesthetic we've seen in the Sector Imperialis and Sector Mechanicus stuff, where you can paint this stuff up to match that, and it's kind of I call it rubble terrain or like doodads.
Lower stuff.
Yeah, it's lower stuff that you can literally just toss on the table and add some extra character and flair. They look fantastic, painted up.
Not just fantastic, I think the sewer entrance looks great.
Oh my gosh, that's such a dad joke. This set also has some of my favorite doodads, which are these shield generator pylons.
The electric fence, whatever you want to call
whatever you want to call them.
They came back in like Black Reach or something. Way back in the day they had them, and they showed
I think it was even before Black Reach, wasn't it?
Or Battle for McCrag.
It might have been. I think it was McCrag.
I think
it was Battle for McCrag. These are the same type of fence, electric fence shield generator things, but they're bigger. They just... I'm excited to get my hands on these. I have a set that I actually used from forever ago that I use as terrain markers or objective markers.
You'll notice that this isn't necessarily like supposed to make a terrain board itself or anything.
No.
But these are great either for objective markers. You've got some really cool. I like you got the box of las guns and the box of las gun packs or ammo packs. You also have on this one, funnily enough, you have a ammo pack recharger. For recharging las guns. So these are great little objective markers, or they're really cool accent pieces for your existing terrain. Or for like dioramas or scenic pieces or something.
I can see it being used in Necromunda too.
Being really good for Necromunda as well.
Any type of terrain any type of table, these can just spruce them up.
Yeah. I would love to see I could see using this as like a new display base for like a Guilliman model, like a huge pool, or one of the like this big
The big grate you could totally use for a
I mean, that needs to have a Gene Stealer or Coulter or something, right, coming out of this grate here.
Yeah, for sure.
You need some kind of Gene Stealer Colt or Gene Stealer model.
Just popping up out of there.
You've got this like half set. It's supposed to stand like this. There's a back piece here too.
Yeah.
I could see like doing Harkonnen Warclaimer landing on that.
Oh yeah,
or something like
Harkonnen
that.
Warclaimer. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But you could do a ton of fun stuff with these bits.
Yeah.
And like Abe said, these are the perfect size for objective markers, just to add some character to your tables. There's also these really cool. There's like a little operating table with like a doctor servitor bit, and there's also like a relic case, which I thought was really cool.
Which is pretty cool. And it looks like, based on what they said on the back of the box, they may at some point sell these separately. I don't know if
I hope so,
because they're described as a fallen statue set.
Yeah.
And an objective set.
It makes sense that they're fallen statues because it does look like Dark Angels, but that's all.
Oh.
Anyway, that's I got that joke from JR. He told me to say that one. So
he did. Flame JR.
Flame JR. But yeah, it's a cool terrain set. The box set itself, again, pretty cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is a box set that you could split with your game
with
group
your game group. Yeah, it's definitely not something that, especially because anytime you come with like a big map like this, not everyone needs to have that.
Not everybody needs to have it, and you really only need one set of the rules. And considering the fact that
Chapter Approved has
some of the same rules in here, it doesn't make sense for unless you just really want these terrain kits right now.
Which is actually why I hope they sell the terrain kits separately at some point. Because those are definitely, especially the objective set, is something I'd like to have. Like,
I want
6 of myself.
I think you're absolutely right though about the statues being cool for scenic bases.
Yeah,
just doing some cool dioramas or just posing your characters on them.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty sweet. I want to chop those up even more and
use them
for basing stuff. But but that's. I mean, there's a ton of stuff in this box. But again, I think you'd probably split it up with your game group. Four buddies going in on this is $25 each, and you can have a whole map campaign.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad.
And that's very nice. I do think it's interesting if you look at this.
Yeah.
Chapter Approved 2018.
Yep.
And Vigilus within the last month. Games Workshop has released about 30 new scenarios.
Yeah.
These are both for match play, narrative play, open play, Maelstrom at War. So each of those books has, and specific ones for campaigns, both in Urban Conquest and Vigilus.
It's hard to argue that GW is not supporting this game and not creating other stuff besides just more models, right?
It's true. And I think I'm interested to know out there how many people are actually playing the Games Workshop missions. Because I know a lot of people are either play ITC missions specifically, just kind of don't play missions at all and just kind of fight it out, or have very simplistic missions. People play the Maelstrom of War missions. So I'm interested to know how many people are excited about all these new missions, because 30 new missions. And that's not counting the strategic card. I have changing objectives. That alone, that's like a year's worth of play for most players. To play 30 games is probably more.
This might shock folks, but not everybody plays a game a week.
Yeah, well, even if you played a game almost every week, 30 missions it takes almost a year,
almost the whole year.
If you want to count on holidays and missing games or a tournament week that you're not playing a new mission.
That's a lot of missions, man.
That's a lot of missions. I would guess that most people do not play, and I would guess that most players don't get necessarily 30 games a year.
I think your average player doesn't.
Yeah.
I think we did a poll way back when we were trying to figure out the average number of games people get, and there are some hardcore mega players who get 2 to 3 games in a week.
Yeah.
I used to do that back in the day.
Yep.
But that was not common.
Right.
That was not a common.
That's not common.
Yeah. So I think Abe's right. 30 missions. If you were just playing I think having a campaign gives you a reason to try out those new missions and change it up.
Does.
Because it can get kind of stale just playing pitch battle all the time.
That's just what's come out in the last month.
Yeah.
I mean, we know Vigilus 2 is coming out. There's probably going to be another
50 days.
Yeah, so there's probably going to be another dozen or so missions in there.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That are specific for that. So whatever campaign they have next is going to have more missions. So it's really interesting to me what they're doing there. I don't know if we actually need this many missions.
That's true.
30 missions is a lot.
It's a lot of missions.
Plus Chapter Approved 2017, plus the core rule book, plus all the other missions they've released in other formats.
Right.
There's probably upwards
40, 50,
50, at least 50. I mean, the core rule book.
That is definitely enough to play a game a week with different missions every time.
Yeah, so you could, without using any, making up anything yourself, easily play a different mission every
That's if you just played them right out of the book, too.
Right.
That's not counting any kind of tweaks or homebrew stuff that you want to do.
And you've got the ones that have the changing objectives.
Yeah.
So all of those are really interesting. It'd be interesting to see, like, I mean, does anyone know what all the missions are? Right? I play a lot, and I have no idea what half the missions in the game are. I'll be honest. I do play a lot of ITC or ITC style missions because we do tournament stuff, and a lot of tournament players that I play with want to do those kind of missions. So it'd be interesting. And if Games Workshop ever got into doing more running tournaments, or
they've got a giant packet of rules or missions they could choose from.
They do.
Tournaments,
so I think I would personally like to try. I think one of my goals for 2019 is to try out more of the missions in these books.
Some noble cause,
and try some of that, because a lot of them, and I think this is something I know personally I overlook when I talk about the game, because they're one-off, so it's hard to generalize, but so many of them have new stratagems, especially these Cities of Death, which add in like 30 new stratagems.
New setups,
chapter approved and Vigilus, and this added in a lot of new like generic mission
deployment
rules, sustained assault. You've got stuff like that.
There's attacker defender scenarios.
Attacker defender. So we really do change the game up a lot, and I think there's a pretty good argument to make that these missions are how Games Workshop wants the game to be played.
Yeah, that's how they envision.
When you look at something, you go, man, this is really broken, or why would I ever use this? You gotta like think a little bit. Well, maybe this mission that Games Workshop made is why you would want that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stratagems that don't get used, but make a lot more sense in conjunction with it's because we're playing this one mission, and suddenly that one niche stratagem. The niche stratagem, that's what it's for.
Right.
And
really
you're like, it all clicks.
Yeah.
You're like, that's why that's there.
Yeah.
Speaking of things, why is that thing there? Let's take a closer look at the artwork real quick.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to show this off.
Some eagle-eyed people have pointed out.
Yeah. If we could zoom in all the way as close as we can. I know it's hard to see.
Quadrant 5, zoom and enhance.
So there's a couple of weird things going on. I don't know if we can go any closer, but that's about as close as we can get. Maybe a little more. All the way. Enhance. There it is.
Okay, that's as far as I can get.
That's about as far as we can get. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
So we can see from the artwork, what the heck is that thing? There's right here. You've got a Land Raider, and you've got a Vindicator.
And we'll point out that this Land Raider is pretty clearly a baby Land Raider. So two half Land Raiders fell in love.
It's tiny.
And had it. It's still growing up. It hasn't eaten enough loyalists.
Maybe it's just further back. I don't know. The perspective's a little off. But what's interesting is what the heck is in that? What is going on there? And you guys can see at home. That's it's a six-legged bulbous spider thing.
It definitely looks very spidery. It has this kind of big bulbous rear part.
Have the chaos.
It's got the chaos spikes on top. It's just weird.
And it's meant this I would argue is meant to be seen, right? This is not a background bit of this because it's silhouetted in a doorway. And literally a guy's pointing at it, right?
Let's talk about what we know about GW art real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they work on the art and assets and models years ahead of time.
Right.
Probably like at least a year ahead of time, right?
And we know
before they put stuff out.
Yep, and they tend to reuse art too.
And they reuse art. Yep.
So definitely.
We actually also spotted that GW has also started to use art based off of actual models.
Yep.
They've been doing this for years now too.
They have, but they used to be a lot more freeform in their art, where you could just kind of draw stuff. Recently, I've noticed, at least I don't know when this started.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to go back and look through everything, but they've really cracked down on kind of, I guess, branding or keeping the aesthetic in that if it shows up in art, it should be a real model, probably.
And actually, here's a good example of that. It's actually on this piece right here. What the heck is that thing?
It's an Aquila Strong Point.
That's an Aquila Strong Point, and we know that's an Aquila Strong Point because we have one in the studio. Yep. So even like the background images are based off of things that they produce.
It's not just some random artistic license. I drew
that right there. Cannon. Yeah, that right there is literally one of the Sector Mechanicum bits turned upside down.
Yep.
So it's not rando pieces of art that they're producing. These things are intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So
all those tanks are specifically tanks.
Those tanks are actual tanks that are in the game, even if the scale's a little off.
Yep.
So we know that's going to be something. We don't know what yet.
Yeah,
we're excited about it.
Yep. Some people have said that it looks like a blood slaughterer. I don't think it's the legs are wrong. The humpback is in the back. And the front. It doesn't really look like it doesn't look particularly Khorne to me.
No, those are all Black Legion models.
They're all Black Legion models. It's a very detailed model, also. So. Yeah. If it is just artistic license, random filler, something, I'll be surprised for one. And it's a very detailed one that's in a very prominent position.
Yeah,
it's not just a blooming shape in the background, right? They could have put a dreadnought there if they were just looking for something to fill that space.
Right.
They could have put a dreadnought. They could have put another tank. They could have put a Terminator or something.
Here's the deal, though. We're 50 days out from Vigilus 2. We know that. Games Workshop kicked off a real-time clock when they dropped Vigilus Defiant.
And it's ticking down.
And it is literally ticking down right now. I think we're on day 50 days out.
Yeah.
So we know that more stuff's coming.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen hints at the Chaos stuff. We've got Harken Worldclaimer was the new Raptor dude. We've seen the new, we were assuming is a Chaos Sorcerer of some type. Even from Blackstone Fortress, we know that there are new Chaos Marines in the works.
Mm-hmm.
They've had those for a while. Remember the Chaos Champions from like Dark Imperium? Not Dark Imperium, the one before Dark Imperium. The Chaos Champions that came with the cultists.
Yep.
Those guys had a slightly different aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that Games Workshop has been cooking up some new Chaos models for a long time.
Yeah, we keep on hearing all the rumors of a new Abaddon model.
I'm hoping. Fingers crossed, man.
Goat Boy did a great comic a little while ago of different hairstyles.
It's just a bigger top knot.
Yeah, just a bigger top knot.
Yeah.
So with all that, it wouldn't surprise me. And
yeah,
Nurgle got a big update this edition.
Nurgle got a big update. Tzeentch got a big update.
Khorne has had some demon updates.
Khorne got the demon update. I'm hoping Khorne got an update, but no Berserker updates, which really needs some.
But like generic Chaos, the Chaos Space Marine book didn't really get updates. This edition.
You're still using the same kit. That kit's at least 15.
That kit's very old.
20 years old.
So if they were to do either with Vigilus 2 or with a Black Legion book,
Vigilus 2
Electric book, really wouldn't surprise us to see a pretty big release for Chaos, which is a pretty major faction. And if last year was the year of Xenos,
which we got a lot of Xenos stuff.
We got a lot of Xenos stuff, a lot of Xenos books. It would make sense, especially with the conflict in Vigilus and where the main 40k storyline is going, to see a lot of Chaos, not necessarily demons, but Chaos. Marines, Renegades releases, and probably some more Space Marine releases, obviously.
And 50 days out is enough of a window where they could still drop a certain Gene Stealer cult faction in the middle of that and still be appropriate for the timeline, because we're with Vigilus and everything that's going on. So
I mean, we're guessing we're going to see Gene Stealer cult within the next few weeks.
Yeah,
that's kind of our guess based on the Warhammer open day or whatever, which was
the New Year's
open day a couple weeks ago, which.
And we know that also coming out for them is the Malog's Mob, which is another warband for Warhammer Underworlds.
I got 3 guns.
The Gunslingers come in. We know there's more Kill Team stuff on the way too. So there's just a lot of little releases building up to both Gene Stealer Cult and possibly Vigilus 2.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we got maybe a new Chaos-based box. Which would put them more on par with Primaris models as well.
Height-wise or something.
Yeah, height-wise, size-wise, because the newer models are closer to Primaris.
Yeah, they're like half. They're like a half a head.
Yeah,
like the new. If you look at the Blackstone Fortress. I was going to say Black Legion models. But if you look at the Blackstone Fortress Marines compared to current Chaos Marines, they're like about a half head taller. They're a little bit smaller height-wise than a Primaris, but they're bulkier. It's almost like they got Chaos juiced.
And the new Death Guard are pretty similar to a Primaris.
Exactly, but they have the bulk though to fill them out because their Death Guard, the bloat, and all that. Like the rules, they just keep getting bigger.
Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah, Papa Nurgle happy. So we do have that. So it really wouldn't surprise me if we get a big Chaos release with new infantry models, maybe. Maybe a separate release of new like cultists or Trader Guard or something. Stuff with all the Blackstone Fortress models we got. A new Abaddon, some new characters, and some kind of new demon engine, because we know that every time apparently now that the new thing is every time there's a new Chaos book comes out, you have to get new Chaos engines, right?
You gotta get new engines.
Like, oh, we got the Defiler. Oh, no, we got the Soul Grinder. Oh, we got the Baller Fiend and the Forge Fiend.
Yeah,
and the Dragon, Helldrake.
Helldrake. You gotta get more Chaos.
You gotta do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, makes sense because the Defiler were built for the first Black Crusade, right?
That's
Abaddon originally
commissioned
had them.
it, yeah.
So it would make sense as his 13th Black Crusade continues to gain steam that he might have commissioned a new thing.
I mean, it also from just from a collector standpoint, collecting the models and stuff like that. You've got basically like a new couple commanders or new HQ options, maybe a new troop box that's just updated for those guys. And a new big kit, meaning like some type of vehicle or
it doesn't have to be
chaos
super
engine.
big, right? It can be the same size as like the bloat drone.
That's true.
Because they've been putting out a lot of these kind of things for different factions, but specifically like the bloat drone, which are kind of like these small, annoying to kill like dreadnought models.
But I mean, again, based on the artwork and the scale, it's hard to tell. But if that thing is even half the size of a Land Raider, that's still going to be pretty cool.
Pretty big.
That's about the size. It's a little bit larger or smaller, like plague crawler size, right?
Yeah.
So the plague crawler for Death Guard, that model is not quite as tall as a Land Raider, but you get the idea.
That's pretty good.
So that was another big vehicle, big kit that came out with those armies. So I think it's a good direction they're taking it.
Yeah. So lastly on our 40K stuff today, we did just this morning. They dropped 2 new FAQs.
Oh yeah, we didn't even touch those.
This is the Vigilus 1 Vigilant Defiant FAQ and the chapter approved 2018 FAQ.
Which is fitting. It's been about 2 weeks. So.
So a couple things I noticed in there that were pretty funny.
Yeah, go for it.
They FAQ'd the Veteran Intercessor stratagem to fix it, and I'm really, really sad that I hadn't caught this before because that's
what was
my
the
job.
problem with it, Abe?
So, because it was a pre-game stratagem,
you
can use it as many times as you want.
As many times as you want.
Which we all got that, and that's still true. We were all thinking, which is obviously how it's designed to be used, that you would use it to upgrade individual
multiple
units.
Squads. Multiple units, like 3 or 4 units of them. Yeah, what's the big deal?
By the rules, though, you could upgrade a single squad multiple times.
Wait, what?
Yes, it didn't. So, and each time you use it, they gain the Veteran Intercessor keyword, which I suppose they could gain multiple times.
Sure.
I don't know if it overrides itself.
Just copy paste.
I had Veteran Intercessor 12 times.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it gave them +1 attack and +1 leadership.
There's the problem.
For 1 command point.
For 1 command point each time.
By the rules, you could use this on the same squad multiple times and like drop 10 command points on it and suddenly be like, oh yeah, my intercessors all have 12 attacks and our leadership 20.
Which is pretty rad. At that point, you should just change it from like veteran intercessors to veteran moving marines.
Yeah, pretty much.
And just let them go to town.
So, I'm sad I didn't catch that particular amazing cheat. But they did FAQ it to be that you can only use it once per unit. Per game.
What would have been interesting, though, is actually to play against that, because if you know that's what the opponent dropped, like 10 command points on.
Right, you're like, oh, they're going to die now.
That's still just a unit of like 10 Primaris Marines. It's 20 wounds and 3 of save. They're not impossible to kill.
They are not.
They're super killy in close combat, but they're still just dudes in power armor.
They are. I mean, it would have been. I mean, you put that's the one you're going to have in a repressor to give that extra.
Right. But then the repressor becomes worth it.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm really sad because that just would have been pretty hilarious to run into like a tournament or something and be like,
it's totally legal.
I use Veteran Intercessors 10 times on this unit.
It was legal.
And then I punched the sky. So they FAQ'd that,
which was good.
We're good. There were a lot of FAQs. Not going to go through everything. They did FAQ to confirm that we had misinterpreted the rule on relics.
Which was important. We wanted them. Let me clarify that.
Yes,
we wanted them to clarify that. That was a big deal. We read that. We were like, wait a minute, what? And Abe and I talked about this for like 2 days. We're like, how does this work? This relic thing. If you don't know what we're talking about, the rule was in Vigilus Defiant. There was a couple of different conflicting rule sections talking about being able to give a unit a relic
from the specialist
detachment, and then also one from their regular codex. And there was some confusion there that we read, and we're like, hey, this is a problem. Here's 3 ways they could resolve this. What do you guys think? And everybody thought that we were trying to misinterpret the rule book.
Right.
No, we just wanted a clarification.
We wanted a clarification. They clarified
They
it.
did.
You do not get any free relics. This
You
is
do
not
not.
giving, which is a little sad to me because I think that made the special attachments more worthwhile.
Yeah, because our argument was, and our thought process was, anytime you wanted to get bonus relics, you had to spend command points for them.
Yeah.
And if you just spent the 1 command point to activate the special detachment
you
rule,
don't get anything.
You don't get anything.
You have to spend more command points or make choices.
Which is why we thought, like, hey, it makes sense. If you spend the detachment point, then you also get a relic for that detachment.
And most of those detachment relics aren't that great.
They're really not.
But they FAQ'd it to be solid about that.
So there's still just 1 relic.
1 relic. You don't get any extra.
You don't get any extra
relics.
relics.
Anything that gives you a relic from your Warlord book, and they clarified it, which is one of my issues, is because you don't get relics from a book, you get it from your Warlord's book, or from using the stratagem. So they specifically clarified and said the 1 relic you get from your Warlord's Codex can be picked from this instead, or if you use a stratagem to get additional relics, you can choose one of these instead. So that's fine. That's good.
That's good. We love that. We love that they clarified
that.
Thank you.
Those were 2 of the important ones, I think, from Vigilus. There's a bunch of little ones. They FAQ'd the chapter approved.
They tweaked some more points.
They had forgotten, I guess, to change points for some of the orc units that did not make it into the codex from the index, the old buggy and stuff. So they FAQ'd those. One that I don't like. I'll be honest about this FAQ though.
Do it.
This is an FAQ for the Sisters of Battle Beta Codex, which I've been writing about my thoughts on.
You've got some issues. You got some issues,
but the question was, if you take the Imagifier unit from the index,
from the chapter-approved index,
not chapter-approved, from the index.
Oh, sorry, the Imperial Index.
So if you don't know, it used to be a unit in the index that an independent character model that on a 2+ or on a 4+ you got an extra faith point.
Right.
In the Beta Codex, they changed it from its own unit to being a squad upgrade for most infantry squads.
Yeah.
You can now buy an Imagifier in that unit, and they give you a +1 to your active faith test roll.
Yeah. So again, swaps out the rules.
Yep. Right. So the question was, if I take the Imagifier character unit from the index, what rules does it use?
Right, because they've come out and said earlier that all of the index units are still technically legal.
So to me, they should have. To me, the answer really should have been: you cannot use the index. You cannot use the index Imagifier. Its data sheet has been replaced by this upgrade in the units.
Use those instead.
Use those. That's how they're meant to be played. I think that would have been the best way to answer it. They answered: you can take the index Imagifier unit. It does not get to use its old on a 4+ you get an extra active faith. It instead gets the new rule that it gives its unit +1 to active faith.
But it's a character, so it's a unit of 1, right?
A 1. So that seems like it should be totally useless. There's no reason to take it because it's a very mediocre character on its own that doesn't buff anyone. Unfortunately, there's actually a kind of exploit you can do with this now because you have the Order Devotion, the Ebon Chalice, which gives you +1 to your active faith rolls.
Right.
And normally this is the only way that a character can get a +1 bonus, because none of the characters can have Imagifiers.
Right.
But if you take an Imagifier as a character with this
Ebon Chalice,
they now have a +2 to their active faith roll. They can get rerolls pretty easily.
That's not that bad,
That's not great. I mean, why would I want to do an active
Why would you want to do that on a 2+?
Well, there's the Vessel of the Emperor's Will stratagem, which is the most powerful stratagem in the book, which is when a character, and this could only be used again on a character, successfully does an active faith, you can use the stratagem to have that active faith affect all friendly Adeptus Sororitas units. This is not, again, and I don't believe they FAQ'd it to get rid of being able to affect vehicles either. So that can affect everyone. So that's the core of a lot of stratagems.
So walk us through real fast. You've got the character Imagifier.
Right, from the
index.
It's
getting a +2 because it's a character, which means it can trigger this other ability. And that will cause the Axis of Faith to affect
6 inches with it. So it is the only way. This is the best way to use Vessel of the Emperor's Will. And you could only do it by using this index unit with the rule tweak, which they could have really easily just said you can't do.
Yeah, there's a lot of gears turning to make that work, but it's really...
It's silly.
It's silly.
They replaced that unit. They wanted that unit to do something fundamentally different and be used in a fundamentally different way and to still allow you to use the old version. To me, doesn't make any sense, especially because it's not like you had to get rid of the model. They were just saying, you have to use this model in a different way.
Yeah.
Which they've done before. Like, they've changed. It wasn't like commissars. Sometimes we're a squad upgrade. Sometimes they're an independent. They're an independent unit.
Yeah.
So we've
seen that before. Yeah.
So that was one. They also clarified, as I had argued several times, that the Book of St. Lucius, which gives +3 to your aura abilities, does not affect Emperor's Will because that is not an aura ability. That's a stratagem. So
there you go.
Doesn't have anything to do with that. But check those out. We've got those up both in Warhammer Community, and we've got our thoughts. I think JR wrote up our thoughts on the website.
Yep.
So you can check
us out
all of the the new FAQ stuff, all our Urban Conquest coverage, and now we've got.
And speaking of JR, JR's here for a DD update. I'm out.
Bye, Adam.
Bye.
Hello, stranger out the corner of the camera.
Welcome.
Hi. Oh, get rid of Urban. The Urban have been conquested by the dungeons.
Excellent. Exactly.
What if we had dungeon conquest?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now there's
more whips and chains.
I think we do have that. Hold on. It's
Nope, keep going.
Oh, dang it.
Dang it.
Well, there is a box of Hero Quest around here
somewhere. Good call.
And that would have been a good. That would have been a good joke. That would have been great.
So, what's new in either the dungeons or the dragons?
Well, so we have a couple of exciting pieces of news coming out. There's not, again, it's sort of the new year, so there's not too much that's super solid right now. Again, of course, just as a quick review for folks that might not have seen last time.
We have some aquatic updates, right?
D&D has released their new aquatic their 2019 roadmap, and the first book coming is aquatic adventure themed. So if you're interested in sailing on boats or fighting sea monsters or whatever, this is the book for you. It's going to come out in late spring, probably March or April. So that's around the corner, and we have seen some of the ways they're ramping up for it. So on their most recent Dragon Talk podcast, for instance, they were featuring all of the underwater combat rules that are in the game.
I doubt it's going to be in there, but I'm really holding out for a bard subclass. It's all about sea shanties.
Oh, that would be amazing!
Because if they're not doing this, someone needs to make
a bard sea shanty class. Yeah, you
and put those sea shanties in there, because that how is that not the best thing for an aquatic game ever?
That would be perfect. I mean, that's the whole reason to have naval adventures is for all the sea shanties.
I mean, I never played an Assassin's Creed game until Black Flag because I heard there were sea shanties in that.
And there are.
Yeah.
And it's what makes Assassin's Creed Odyssey the best one so far.
And if you and they change it depending on the crew. They can change the voices too.
It's true. They will. So, fun facts, sea shanties for your games. Think about it. But we also know that one of the other things they want to work on in 2019 is the next big leg of whatever their campaign is. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is what we're seeing kind of in the works down the line. We don't know when this one is coming back. But in February, they announced over the weekend in February, they're going to have Unearthed Arcana back again. It's taken a hiatus for a month so that they can finish what they're working on for February, which is a new class, which is a pretty big deal. Yeah. Because since 5th edition has released, they've kept the same number of base classes through two big expansions.
Right, we've got
Volo's Guide and Xanathar's Guide. Yeah, they've
stuff.
Got new class archetypes, subclasses. We've got new races, but there have not been any new just base classes for the game yet. And so what we're seeing on in February is the Artificer,
right, which they had previewed before.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago to the day of their announcement. In fact, they had released the Artificer Unearthed Arcana.
Well, that's how you do playtesting, right? Rigorous playtesting.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a real interesting idea because it's a class that kind of takes the idea of tinkering with stuff and combining I don't know, magical or alchemical stuff to create spell-like effects, but it's not a caster. It's more here's a rogue that ish kind of thing that has a lot of...
And they've had artificers before.
Yeah, they've been around since 3rd edition at least.
They're never very satisfying to me. Which is one of the... And I know that they've been reworking it a lot because getting it right is kind of hard. Because a lot of times it feels like a bad wizard almost.
Yeah,
right?
like why would you create a bunch of different spell effects when you could just play a wizard or play a cleric, you know, if you wanted some of the more resilience and still do basically the same things.
Yeah. And oftentimes they've had the exact same spells.
Yeah.
Just they use them slightly differently, but oftentimes you have to like pre-prepare stuff, or it was a way of like giving someone else the ability to cast a spell, but you would lose it, so it didn't.
Yeah, so it didn't really do anything for you. One of the things that they experimented with in the old version of the Artificer was being able to give someone else a spell and they cast it and then they maintain concentration.
Right.
So it'd be a way to have like multiple concentration spells going,
which was a cool
for
advantage.
your party, which is a cool advantage, but kind of difficult to pull off.
Yeah, they've also kind of at times they've experimented. I know they did some of this on Arthurcana, of combining it with kind of like the gunslinger almost, where you have a gun, like you're both arranged. You're kind of like an arcane archer in some ways,
right?
But you use a gun, so like they can work that in. So there's different ways, and it's really cool, especially because it's a great class to use in like an Eberron setting.
Exactly, and Eberron is one of the books that we're looking to see finished up sometime later this year, with the hopes that it'll get kind of made official, available for print on demand, or you just get a digital version of it off of the DM's Guild. But either way, the Eberron stuff seems like a great kind of fit for where you could easily drop an Artificer in. But
in fact, I think the old Artificer came in the Eberron book.
That's where it came from. Yeah. And so it'd be really exciting to see like how they change this, and it would also be interesting to me to see like how they release it. Right. So if you're going to release the Artificer, do you put it in the finalized version of Eberron? This means we're going to see, you know, the Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron get its official release, be completely Adventurers League illegal, and all that stuff. A lot of it is sort of right now in its own capacity, like they were running an Eberron campaign in Adventurers League,
right?
But like, would this be in that book, or would it be in something else? We know that one of the things that they want to work on later this year is a setting book,
right?
And we'll probably see that in like fall.
Sure.
If I had to guess, that'd be the late fall, early winter kind of release.
And if they're doing that, and they're rubbing up on Arthurcana again, that probably means we're going to get another player.
Another expansion or supplement, later this year. They usually give themselves like 6 to 8 months to kind of tweak and polish and adjust the feedback from it. When we saw the release of Xanathar's Guide, we'd see like a bunch of subclasses get out, and like 8 months later from when they started running those previews, the book came out.
Yeah. And so something like another Xanathar's Guide, which is a great addition because not only setting books are great, the new mechanic books are great, but a lot of players really want the new player option manual kind of thing. That's what Xanathar's really was.
Yeah.
And so be a good place for an Artificer to come out. Of course, I'm still excited for D&D in space.
Yeah, which we like next year, I'm sure, because they specifically said Spelljammer isn't coming out this year.
Yep.
Which it sounds to me like 2020 is the year of Spelljammer. 2020 is also the year that they want to get a little more exploratory with the parts of the Forgotten Realms that they explore or take. Kind of bring into the spotlight. So with the Tomb of Annihilation, for instance, we saw a lot of places with like African influence. So now they're looking to kind of check out the other corners of the world that have made their mark on the Forgotten Realms. It's not a one-to-one analog, but it's like, hey, you can see kind of these different cultural influences in D&D, and that's kind of exciting as well because there's some cool stuff.
And honestly, if they don't put out some sort of like modern book or cyberpunk-ish book next year, they'll be missing an opportunity.
They will, because next year is 2020.
Yep.
Which, you know, I know that our Talsorian Games is working on Cyberpunk 2077 in conjunction with the new video game
which
that's
I
coming
also
out.
think if that doesn't come out
if that doesn't come out next year,
they're missing a huge
But also, if it doesn't come out next year, how are we going to play it? You know, that's the other thing.
Right, because we may not make it to 2021.
That game looks so good, though. Anyway,
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the big stuff that's coming out in D&D. We're starting to kind of see like what's bubbling up for these projects. I think we're going to see a lot more boat stuff in the near future.
So get out your buckles.
You can find
Put your swashes on.
if you check out our site or if you go to Unearthed Arcana, you can find the D&D rules for naval combat and running ships in your game. It's kind of an interesting system. You get every ship has its own stat block. What's that?
JR likes to run ships in his game. I like to run ships into my games. That's really the difference between us.
That's true. That's true. There is nothing quite like the moment when you're like, and now a galleon has come crashing
through the wall.
Yeah, pretty much.
Deal with it.
But every ship has its own stat blocks. It has its own actions, and your crew matters. Can do special stuff based on it. That's probably about as close to a final version as we're going to see. So if you want a preview of what the book's going to be like, check that out.
And we'll be back with more ship coverage. I'm a big Archie and Veronica fan. JR is much more an Archie Betty fan.
I just think she makes so much sense. Like, she's loyal.
I'm a Betty Jughead. Like, that's my ship, and I'm going to die on it.
I could see that.
But, we'll be back with more ship coverage.
Yeah.
In the coming weeks.
So let us know your favorite ships
in
the comments, and we'll be sure to talk about them.
Anyway, that's about our hour.
Yeah.
We talked about many things on our tabletop, and this has been the Bulls Tabletop Hour.
Yeah, we've got Urban Conquest. We've got the coming throwdown between the Ultramarines and Chaos.
Bam, bam, bam. Oh, it's going to be chaotic.
We've got Dungeons and also Dragons.
Yes.
And boats, as well.
I ship Dungeons and Dragons together. I think that they make a great fit.
And
myself.
Be sure and check back. Well, I mean,
we'll be
check
here
back
next
before
week.
then, but we'll be back next month with the Artificer when that comes out.
When that comes out, check back next week for our show at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you can check out the website, of course. I'm Abe.
I'm JR.
Thanks for watching.
Woo!
Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.